something that I did. Sure, it was really bad. Now, I didn't do it with a conscious mind, but still, the result of me picking up the drink to cope with some kind of problem like that was going to help or mask it. But again, that's what addiction is, and that's what it does. You know, our brains are rewired, and that's what we go for. You know, ask a doctor; they'll tell you. At least a good doctor. But so that song, though, "When Bad Does Good," is something that I listen to now, and it's just like, yeah, man, that's for sure. You know, sometimes it takes a bad situation to make you realize that, you know, there is good that comes out of it. And it all depends. I mean, I could have been like, F that, screw that, I'm not doing this, I'm just going to live on the streets. I mean, that's where I had choices. You know, people say, oh, well, addiction and alcohol and drugs, that's a choice. That's not a disease. Addiction isn't a disease. Well, it is. And the choice that I had to make was a choice for the better. You know, and I went to treatment not knowing what to expect, and I came out, and it was just, I was ready, man. I was ready for the world. I was ready to stop waiting for Jesus to land a beautiful wife on my arm and a beautiful job, you know, and money in the bank. I was just waiting for that, and it was never happening, you know. And so I stopped worrying about that stuff and just started doing what I could do and control the things that I can control. So, you know, with that kind of outlook on it, and not taking no for an answer just because I don't know how to do something doesn't mean it's going to stop me. I'm just going to figure out how to do it. You know, Justin and Adam keep talking about, oh, they want to start a podcast, and I was like, cool, you know, I'll help you at whatever you need. And Justin's like, I don't know how. Okay, I didn't know how either. He's like, yeah, but you have radio experience. I was like, not when I started, bro. You know, like, I mean, you can do anything you want, and yeah, you're not going to be perfect at it at first, but that's fine. That's what the growing stage is for. And
you started doing this for you, not for anybody else.
Right.
I mean, it's helping others, and so that's part of why I think you're so committed. But it's a commitment that plays a part in your recovery program. You know, it's a piece of what keeps you sober. It's a piece of what keeps me sober, and I didn't even come up with it.
Yeah, it's part of my armor. You know, that if I just stopped doing the podcast, where would I be?
Yeah, if he stops doing the podcast, email Corey at 217recovery.com.
Yeah, but seriously, you know, and that's something that I won't ever stop doing. And right now, I just have way too much to lose, and I've only got almost 2 years clean now. But that's the longest I've had since I was 12, you know, before I even touched a drink. So learning to enjoy life and learning what life is really kind of all about. And it's not about running from your problems. You know, I still have problems. I face them differently. And sometimes it takes 2 weeks to figure out a decision. You know, sometimes I'm like, I want to do it now. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just hold off, wait. But then 2 weeks later, if I'm still feeling the same, I'm like, you know what? I got to make this decision for me because I don't like the way it's making me feel.
Yeah. I will often, you know, that they call it, you know, you recognize your old behaviors. You know, that's what addict behavior, the I want it now, that mentality, you know, I won't wait for it. And if I have to wait for it, I don't want it. Or I'm going to find a way to make it come, you know what I mean? And just whatever the consequences are, illegal, hurt people's feelings, run people over, whatever, find a way. Very selfish. And it's sad when I think about, you know, that's how I used to be. You know, and still there are times, like I said, I'll recognize sometimes I'm like, whoa, that's really uncool addict behavior. Because I still have it. I still have, you know, here and there. It'll pop up out of the weirdest places. You got to check yourself.
Yeah, you do.
You're like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, so, sorry, I was just giving her hand signals to turn her microphone down. So if you're like, why did they just pause? Yeah, I was going to talk about something else too. It was actually what we were. I don't know. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm on vacation for a day. Got a day vacation. I'm excited that I got to help coordinate some of the recovery homes that I work with to have their own Thanksgiving dinner, which is great. So they'll be responsible for making that up. You know what? I was thinking about this, and you might think this is completely cheesy. And I actually passed this along to Randy. I was talking to Randy Burgess about this. And because we were talking about how it's you know, you can go a lot of places and just have somebody provide you with a meal, which is fantastic. You know, that there's agencies and churches and things like that will do that for people that don't have a Thanksgiving, you know, meal to go to, or even a place to have one. So that's amazing. That's awesome. But I was saying it was kind of cool because this way, you know, giving people, you can give people the groceries, you can give people the turkey, and you can give people the, you know, stuffing and the things to make a casserole, but it will just sit there and nothing will actually be created to have them eat, to fill them up, unless they actually do the work to make it. So I was kind of like using that as like an analogy of recovery, is like you can be presented with tools and ways to think about things and way to handle things, and then things you have to do, and books to read and counseling appointments made. But until you actually follow through with those things and read those books and go to those appointments and, you know, utilize those tools that you've been taught, pray, you know, not just think about praying, meditate, not just buy the meditation app. All those things, it's putting them into play, you know. So like you were saying, to magically, like your recovery doesn't just magically happen. You got to work for it.
Mm-hmm. And even if you don't know what exactly that means,
right,
figure it out. You know, find things that you're really interested in, things that are really going to feed your soul, and helping others and just doing this was just something that was just second nature. And like you said, you know, I started it for myself because I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm sorry for myself. And then, you know, some of the guys that were in Nathan's house at that time were a little bitter because I didn't ask them to be a part of it, and I didn't really care for them. So
it's not for you. It's for me.
But other people I did because they were my friends. And
right.
like these other cats, I was just like, meh, no thanks, guys. And they're, what are you going to have? Can I be on your podcast? I'm like, never, bro. You know, and so they got all salty, and they're just, who do you think he is to his stupid little podcast? And then I put more in motion and realized, you know what? When Jason DeBeck, the guy who owns Nathan's house in Boyne City, it's a recovery home for men, sober living, when he brought up, I think it was like the second week we were doing it, you know, he was just like, you're doing that podcast, right? And I thought he was going to tell me, no, you can't do it in the house. But we weren't talking about, you know, anything in the house or people in the house. We were just talking about our recovery. So, but obviously he had listened to it, and he said, you know, you're helping a lot of people with that, and that's your service position. And I was like, what? For real? And that made the dudes in the house really mad. Like, how does he get to do a podcast? And I was like, quit worrying about what I'm doing, bro. Maybe you won't relapse. But I guess they were still worrying about me too much. But that's when I realized, okay, I can't help other people. And then I'm like, let's go. That's all right. You know, I'm going to use some of my radio skills. And the thing that my grandma told me a long time ago, I remember she told me so many times, every radio station I worked at, from Benton Harbor to Kalamazoo, and even, I don't think she listened to me too much in Dallas, but when I was in Fort Smith, that's kind of when the whole listen online kind of thing really took off, and hey, get the app and listen. And so my grandmother would listen, and, you know, I remember one time I had this conversation. She's like, you know what, honey? She's like, you need to leave that old rock and roll station. You need to go work for Jesus. You need to go work at a Christian radio station. And I just laughed at the time and thought, you know, Graham, like, that's great, really is, you know, but I don't think they'd hire me. Like, I don't know what demo tape I could even send them that they would be like, yeah, that sounds great. You know, so, but she told me, she was like, you know, she said, Jesus has a plan for you, Corey, and you're going to help a lot of people. And what you're doing now is just building steps, you know, to what you really want to do. And I was like, what? She's like, yep, you know, God told me. And I don't know, I get a little bit emotional when I think about it now, you know, like that she had that kind of I don't know, foresight or
Insight.
hindsight, whatever you want to call it. But it's crazy now. Because I did, when I was going through my rough spell, and I was like, I just need a job back in radio, and I just need to work at a Christian station. And, I didn't need to work at a religious station. That's, looking back at it, that's probably the worst thing I could have done. But I reached out and was like, hey, I believe in God, and this and that. And, I think I could help a lot of people, and I'd love to hear from you. And of course they didn't write me back. And I listened to their stations for like a hot minute, and they were really bad too. So I was like, I don't know. And that's why today I have no interest in doing radio ever again. It's not where I belong. And I feel like it served its purpose. I learned a hell of a lot about a lot of different things. And with those skills that I learned, though, I reached out to Scott Massey at UFAM. I was like, hey, we would like to send you a proposal for, the UFAM rally. And they were like, yeah, okay. Who are you? I was like, 217 Recovery. And they're like, yeah, I've never heard of you. I was like, okay, well, let me send you some stuff. So I sent them a proposal and, told them, here, there's so many tens of listeners we have. At that point, we didn't have very many. I mean, we were just starting out, and he agreed, yeah. Okay, you can be a media sponsor. We'll give you all the stuff. And so we got like a silver sponsor. I think that time they were selling for like $5,000 or $10,000. Like we would have had to pay to get all the stuff that we got, like our names on billboards and over by Detroit, and then on all the flyer, the printed material, like all that stuff, man. Like that's huge, like everybody there, looked at it. They didn't know what the hell it was, but 217 Recovery, okay. But it was still cool, and we got to show up and put up our tent, our banners, and people walked up, and they were just like, who are you guys? Because we looked so professional. And I think that was like the turning point, especially for everybody else in the house, to look at it and go, oh, yeah, Corey's not playing with this. Like, he really does know what he's doing. And then people just started kind of like wanting to jump on board, and, and some in good ways and some in kind of selfish ways. But, I don't blame people that come up and they're like, man, I really want to be, and I want to be on it. I want to do something, because they'll do anything to keep them sober. And they see, and they're like, man, this is keeping Corey sober. I want to do that then.
Right.
It's just like if you ate brownies every day and you're like, this is my special thing to keep me sober. I'd want to eat some brownies every day too.
Right.
Even if they taste like dog food, I'd be like, well, give me one. That's going to keep me sober.
Yeah.
Give me two, matter of fact.
Yeah.
But, and so I don't blame people for that, but it's just not for everybody. A friend, Derek Chowden, he's an author, and he started doing a podcast, and they were good. I liked him. But he said he had to stop because it just took too much time. It was too much commitment for him. And he said to me, the last time I interviewed him, he's like, I didn't know how hard it was going to be, man. He's like, you make it seem so easy. And this is like, it's not. He's like, it's not easy at all. He's like, how many times I had to stop and redo it and this and that. And I was like, yeah, but you don't have to. I mean, we mess up a lot on here.
Yeah.
Just roll with it.
Right.
Gotta keep going. I think I've edited maybe one, and that was when your dad was on. I mean, but normally I would just, we're done. I hit send, file, upload. I might raise some levels or something. Oh, no, I did mess with the Halloween one. I put the put like the demon effect on my laugh. But,
nice.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, though, I'm not like chopping things up or taking things out. So, yeah, just do whatever, man. Whatever you think can keep you sober. And there's tons of resources, too, is what I wanted to talk about. Because it hit me. I was like, yeah, we don't talk about our resources enough. Because I'm going to actually read the list. That's what I was thinking the other day. Because you looked at the website, and you work for 217 Recovery, and you were like, oh, wow, I haven't been here in a while.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need to check out the site more. Actually, I might have to go to the app, because the internet here at the Olszewski Plaza Hotel, a little bit slow. A lot slow. I think it's their router. Back in 96 when it came out, it was top of the line. Yeah, not so much today. Okay, so I'm going to go to the website, 217recovery.com. Now, if you don't have the app, you can get the app. It's in the Google Store, the Play Store. It's in the App Store for Apple. It's free. Download it.
Just search, and then search 217 Recovery. And it will